I just want to make a video about what I thought about, why some people like gaslight and try to make people out to be villains who are suffering from chronic illness. Because basically, if I see someone who's chronically ill, then and they need help, right? But maybe it's expensive, or it would take a lot, or whatever, for whatever reason. Like, I want to help them, but I feel bad about not helping them. I'll make it up to be something like it's their problem. Like it's their fault. Because if it's their fault, then I don't have to feel bad at all. So I'll, make up about them screwing up as a person, making mistakes in life. Like, oh, they should have taken better care of their health, or, I don't know why they didn't, save up any money, or, obviously, I'll just make up a reason, like, obviously they just, need to do this and that, like exercise, and then they'll be fine, and they're just not doing it, so that's on them. So I don't have to help them. And I could say, like, they're a horrible person. They've been abusive in the past, or whatever. And maybe they haven't been abusive in the past, but I'll just say, like, I see some behavior that I could possibly, 1% of the time call abusive. So I'm just gonna call it that and say, oh, they're a bad person. And just whatever, just make up shit. So people in my family try to make up stuff about me. They're like, it's like how I'm a bad person, how I'm irresponsible, how I'm, like, an egomaniac, or I'm lazy, or I make bad financial decisions, or any of that. Like, because, like, if that's true, then they don't have to live in a world where, people can just get sick, you know? They don't have to live in that world. Like, that's why, like, my aunt Becky, like, most of my family members don't really communicate with her or come visit her, because it's like, it's too depressing. That means you have to kind of come to terms with reality that, like, people just get MS, and maybe it was caused by diet, because I've seen some people, but still, like, not everybody gets it, right? So, like, I could eat the same diet she does, I don't get MS, she does, so like, and then some people, don't want to see it because it's depressing, and you have to deal with actual reality, and so you'd rather just pretend. So you don't want to, like, people don't want to see me, and they don't want to hear from me. And if they do, then they're like, all right, well, this needs to stop because reality is too hard to cope with. Like, I could be helping this person, but I'm not, which means, I'm going to feel bad, and I don't want any of this. I can't deal with this reality. I got to make Brendan out to be a bad person. It's like, I'm not a bad person, you know? I'm trying to save my dad's life. I'm trying to get better. I do things like types of exercises that other people with CCI don't do. I found out I had internal jugular vein compression on my own. I found out I had Lyme and Bartonella on my own. I mean, I had to get the test for IGV compression. I had to get the test for Lyme and Bartonella, but it's like I had to figure that out. I was like 95% sure I had both those things before I got tested, based on, all that stuff. So, and people want to say, like, oh, you think you know everything, Brennan, and you're so cocky, and you don't need all this. You just need to man up. And it's like, and it's just, they just need me to be a bad person. They need me to be a bad person, because otherwise they just hurt all the time. And it's like, I mean, how selfish is that? To be like, I don't want to hurt all the time, so I'm going to make you a person who's dying, who's chronically ill. I need you to be a villain and hurt so that I don't hurt. At least I don't hurt. If you hurt, that's okay. But if I don't hurt, that's okay. Like, that's some selfish shit. I mean, I go see Becky. It doesn't bother me. I mean, it hurts a little bit to see her like that, but it's like, I know that's what reality is. People die and people get sick, and I can face it. I'm not a coward. I look at other people like me who are sick, and I don't blame them. Sometimes I see people where I'm like, please, you should really get this test, or you should eat this food or do this exercise. You should. And I encourage them, but I don't make anyone with chronic illness out to be a villain because I'm not afraid. That's reality. Like, I could die tomorrow. My grandfather could die tomorrow. My dad could die tomorrow. I hope it doesn't happen, but it's just, and I'm not saying realistically that's going to happen to any of us. I'm just saying, like, that's generally speaking. I'm not saying specific to our scenario. I'm just saying, like, we all could, just get hit by a bus or whatever. And that's reality. I mean, I know a girl, she was reaching to get her credit card. She was actually in a parking garage and her car was in, like, neutral or still in drive. She let off the gas or the brake to go pick up her card, and her head got caught between the door and the car frame, and she just died. Her head got crushed. Now, she didn't die from her skull getting squished, but, like, she was pinned there and had, like, such pressure in her head and was trapped, and then eventually died. And so that kind of shit just happens. Another kid, lived near me in Vero Beach. He's jumping off a cliff with his friends into water. Got elbowed in the head when the people were jumping and passed out and drowned. And a lady was walking their dog near where I live. She got eaten by a crocodile. Where's an alligator? Whatever they got in Florida, I forget. Yeah, it's like 78, just walking her dog. Crocodile pulls her in the water, death rolls her. That's it. And that's life. Like, when people are sick, you don't have to make them out to be bad people. Like, I'm not a bad person. I fuck up every day, and I'm an idiot every day. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, I would literally die to save other people's lives. And I don't want anyone to hurt ever. But, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a saint. you know. Well, yeah, I have greed and pride and all these things. Um, but, um, but I don't have a reputation amongst anyone else as, like, someone with a massive ego, someone that's, like, holier than thou, someone that's, like, reckless, someone that's, thinks he knows everything. Nobody thinks these things about me except the people who could help me with chronic illness treatment and don't. Coincidentally, those are the only people that think I'm a terrible person. Not the people that know me very well. I mean, I have a lot of friends that could tell you, like, you know, I mean, they tell me I'm wrong about stuff every day. I'm fine with it. I'm just like, yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. I don't care. They know that I'm not perfect and I have failings. I have rough edges, so to speak. I have so many rough edges from 40. Not as many as when I was 20, but I got them. But yeah, so that's why people, like, I think, like, if you're someone that's feeling like anger, like when I see a homeless person, I might think, like, well, that's on them, like they fucked up. But I think most of the time that's not true. Most of the time, like, they were in abusive households, or they got injured, they got addicted to drugs, um, they were bullied, and they took drugs. They experienced emotional trauma. It's just like, I mean, I've seen people get in a car crash, fall out of their car, bleed out from the head, and die. Like, I mean, shit happens in this world. Like, um, you can have emotional trauma, and most people who are suffering, they do need help, and you should try and help them. And if you feel bad about not helping them, well, maybe you're the bad person, you know? And, but I also understand, like, you can't help everybody. First, you gotta help yourself and your own family, So there's that too. It's a balancing act. But, you're just gonna have to deal with the fact that the world is the way it is. It's a pretty fucked up place. I mean, this is the world where, right outside my door, animals are eating each other alive. Now that's us. We live in that world. Um, they're dying of horrible diseases. I mean, brain parasites and all kinds of shit. I mean, animals out there, they don't have chemotherapy, you know? So, that's the world we actually live in. And I think, if you're wondering why you have chronic illness and why people who could help you are making you out to be this horrible person, it's because they are too weak or too scared to deal with reality. So, you know, and that could happen to anybody too. Like, everyone's got a breaking point. Nobody can just be confront. Like, if I had to handle like 100 chronic, if I wasn't, could help like 100 chronically ill people, and I had to choose like 10 of them, and I couldn't help the rest, I'm gonna feel bad, and it's gonna hurt. There's no way around it. But I'm not gonna pretend any of them are bad people. So, just my thoughts on why people gaslight, you know, and victim blame and all that stuff. It's because, well, that's why.